All right, guys, so I'm going to walk you through how to do this budget project because I know some of you have been slightly confused. So I'm going to walk you through basically what we did in class and how to do this from scratch. So I'm going to look at the requirements throughout this. So this is what you should be referencing as you go. So I'm going to follow them in order because that's the order of what you would do a budget in. So it says indicate which school you're going to at the top. So I'm going to come over here to the Excel document and I'm going to do Swanee. Yeah, Swanee. And then immediately you do the income section. So this is what you would do first. So for me, as I'm thinking about, right, and this is all an example, this does need to be future thinking. So this is not about the now. This is about your plan for next year. So this summer through next school year, so 2018, 2019 school year when you were in college for the first year. So what I'm going to put down here, and I'm actually going to explain it first just to show you my thought process. But if I know $1,650 of wages is going to come from work study at Swanee, that's what I would do first. The place I'm getting that is when I'm going to the U Aspire document, I'm looking at the fact that they offer 100% of students work study and that it costs they make $1,650. So that's where I'm getting that number. I'm not just making it up. The other place I'm going to get it is I'm going to work this summer. And so I'm going to work this summer for 30 hours a week for 8 weeks to make, and when I do the math on that, right, it would be $1,800. I think I decided I was making $8 or $8.50 when I did this calculation. So you just need to think about like how long are you working, for how many hours, etc. So the total for that, when I add those two together, is $3,450. When you type things in the annual column, it's not going to automatically do when you type them in the annual, it's not going to automatically do the monthly. It will do the opposite, so you have to be careful of that. So I need to go back and divide. So when I do 3,450 divided by 12, that gives me $287.50. And so you can see now it's actually doing the total. So it won't do that if you don't go back. So you do need to make sure you do that. The next thing, as far as income, is gifts. So if I typically get $200 at Christmas, and I typically get $100 on my birthday, and I'm expecting to get at least $200 for graduation. Let's say if I know like from potentially my uncle and godparents, I would put that there. That would be $500. So then I would need to divide it by 12 again. That is 4611. So that adds that in there. My parents and I have talked about an allowance to help me pay for college. If this is something you haven't done, you would have to leave this blank until you really talk to your parents and figure this out. So my parents have decided to give me $350, which is $4,200 a year. So I would just write my parents and there's my explanation. My other financial aid, the place you need to go to your U Aspire document. So you can see here, gift aid at Swanee in 2016 was $51,000. And then the loans, I would add these two numbers. When I add those two numbers, I get $56,300. When I divide that by 12, I get 4,691. $4,691 and 67 cents. And then I don't have any other. If you look at the requirements over here, it says that you have to like fill in at least, it looks like 3, and that also is in the rubric. So for income, right, you have to have at least 3 sources of income. I did 4, so I don't need to have any other ones. And I don't have anything else that goes in this category. All the school expenses. So this is all information I got directly from Swanee's website. For Swanee, they break it up on their website where tuition and fees are separate. If your school, the tuition and fees are all together, then you would need to make sure that you can always change this, right, to tuition and fees. And if down here this needs to be changed, to transportation or something, you can always put that there if you would like to instead. That's totally up to you. But Swanee does actually have them separate, which is why it's separate on my budget, but you can always change that in here. Okay, so directly from their website, I'm going to enter in all that information. When I divide this number by 12, 3, 7, this is what I get. Fees. Like I said, I'm getting all this directly from the website. All right, so you can see the math didn't add up here, so you actually need to do that on your own. I'm going to use the formula. You're welcome to use a calculator if you want to, but I'm going to go ahead and use this because this is super easy. All right, so now I have that there for me. I am going to go ahead and do the pieces where it says to do the required expenses, which obviously is school, so I'm going to go ahead and label these. So on tuition, this is required, fixed for the year. Oops. Fees is required, fixed per year. Oops. Sorry guys, this is like, my books though are flexible. I need to go back and edit that. And they're flexible, right, because my books aren't going to cost the same each semester. And same for my supplies. Alrighty, so now I'm done with this section. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm not going to go through everything else line by line with you. But as an example here for something like for a monthly cell phone bill, if you know that your parents are paying this, then what you can type in is like parents are paying for cell phone bill. This is obviously something that if you have this blank where there isn't anything, that's going to look kind of weird because we know at this point everyone really does have a cell phone. So if that's the case, you do need to indicate that. For the internet, for most of the time, if you're living like on campus, internet is included in room and board, so I could just put included with room and board. Another just example I want to go through is like parking. So for Swanee, when I looked on their website, they don't have a parking permit. So any student can park on campus for free. So here I would just put parking is free on campus. I know that is not the case for every college, so you do need to look that up. Like when I went to A&M, like the parking permit you bought varied from like $200 to like $650 a semester. So you do need to look that up on the college's website. Something you also need to double check before you submit your budget, make sure everything is adding up correctly and that the math is accurate. Because if you've deleted some things or messed with it, the formulas may be off. So please make sure you check that. If you have questions, you're welcome to email me, but I would definitely make sure that you're reading through the directions, looking at my Swanee example that's fully filled out. But please feel free to reach out if you have questions, you guys.